Hello and welcome back to How Good Were They, the podcast where we put the greatest footballers and clubs and managers on trial to see just how good were they. We're going to challenge narratives, throw some curveballs and see just how good these people were. So we're going to go to our first manager of the series, a manager that we grew up watching win over and over and over and over and over and over again. It is Sir Alex Ferguson. Thoughts?
I think early doors we should probably both declare that at the time we couldn't stand the man
No.
and everything that he had achieved. But
Purely because he was winning everything.
yeah, he dominated.
It was a jealousy, really, wasn't it?
It was jealousy.
Yeah.
But many people, I think probably every football fan out there would have him amongst, well, we're going to decide, but amongst the top 35.
Top few.
Top three of all time, maybe, in terms of managers. Obviously, what he did at United and previously what he did at Aberdeen. And I think we're going to just peel back some of that and have a bit more of a deeper look at it.
Okay, so let's have a little quick run through his managerial. Well, he was a player first.
Yeah.
A pretty good player, goal scorer. He played, in Scotland. As a manager, though, because that's what we're looking at today, Aberdeen, 1978 to 1986, very successful there. We think you got the kit just behind you, there. The cup winners, 83. I think the last team to beat Real Madrid in a European final, Aberdeen.
Wow.
Yeah, so
quite a fact.
And that the cup back then, people compare it now to the Conference League, but it was a much higher level of competition.
It was a really valuable thing to win, and it was the cup winners, as it says, but it allowed for a broader entry of teams as well. I think a lot of people value their runs in that cup, and for Aberdeen, it's one of their greatest moments.
Also, the last manager to manage a team other than Celtic or Rangers to a Scottish League title.
I mean, that's not a good fact, is it, for the Scottish League?
No, it's not.
Football, but
it's impressive for him to break that the dominance. Then he became the Scottish manager for the '86 World Cup. Of course, that didn't go as planned. They went out of the group stage as per. And then he becomes the Man United manager, taking over from, I think, Big Ron Atkinson.
Yeah.
United in a bit of a dip in the mid-'80s, not at the level they had been. Man, a bit of an up and down team. Obviously, in the '60s, Busby Bayes, '50s, then the kind of the '70s is a bit up and down of relegation in the middle of that, isn't there? Come back up, FA Cup, and then '80s again, struggling to find what made him so successful, and then of course after a few years there, without any silverware, he then wins the FA Cup, and then goes on and wins it all. A lot. So let's go through his trophy cabinet from 1986 to 2013 at Man United. So a long time. What's that? Almost 30 years was at Man United. 13 Premier League titles, unmatched. 2 Champions Leagues, 99-2008.
It's not bad.
5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, an Intercontinental Cup, and a FIFA World Club Cup. So a good trophy cabinet. Of course, that treble in '99 is probably, you'd say, the defining moment of his managerial career.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I think so. I think that, you speak to any United fan, they'll talk about that treble year, the manner in which they do it, of course, against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and a late winner, or an equaliser, then a late winner. Brilliant. But equally, I think United fans will probably rightly say it's the way that he established United as this global brand, this global entity, and his role in that is why, even though they're in one of those dip periods on the pitch, they're still attracting players from across the world and things like that.
Still able to sign players for 60-odd million.
Yeah.
Okay. So style of management for Sir Alex Ferguson. So I think we'd both agree he was a master motivator of those players. He was a disciplinarian, pretty feared as well amongst the players.
He sort of coined that the hairdryer treatment, wasn't it?
The hairdryer treatment, or throwing a boot at David Beckham in the changing room. But what all the players say is he was like a father figure.
Yes.
I think his man management, he had a few fallings out. Roy Keane, often doesn't speak as highly of him. But I think generally the players he was like a dad to me. I think Beckham says that a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, in particular,
and it is that almost relationship with your dad where you tell you off, but also you respect what he says. and you'll try and do your best foot to impress him.
It's sort of loving discipline, isn't it, in that way? And I think he had that in particular. I think, of course, I'm sure we'll come on to the class of '92, that group of players.
Yeah.
He was blessed with. It was one of those things, to develop that crop of players and an incredible academy at United at the time and so on and so forth. But to get those players all successfully playing and adoring him and sort of running through a brick wall for him, whatever he needed, and it was a real spine of that team that he could build players around it. But on the whole, having those players who were just willing to do anything for him, and over an extended period of time, not to lose faith in him, not to fall out massively with him. Obviously, there was a few, like you mentioned, Keane and people like that. But you hear Gary Neville talk about him now, like he cannot talk enough love.
So he also had, I think this maybe sets him apart, he had a real good ability to rebuild teams across decades and stay competitive for so long. That is not an easy thing to do, to stay at that level for 2-3 decades consistently. Tactical flexibility, you had players like Hughes and Cantona, then all on to Rooney's and Ronaldo, so different styles of forwards, but still managed to make them work. We've mentioned the famous hairdryer treatment as well. You did not want to be in the end of that, did you?
He controlled the media very, very well.
He didn't talk to BBC, did he?
Yeah, for years and years and years.
Till the end, was it?
Yeah, with them, and he refused.
What was over? Do you remember?
I think it's something to do with his son or something like that.
Oh, Darren Ferguson, was it? Yeah.
Or one of his other sons.
Oh, right.
Possibly. But certainly something that they reported he didn't like and banned them from all.
He never on Match Today, was he? Yeah.
And he was always Carlos Queiroz, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. Mike Phelan, yeah.
And there was that Fergie time element of it as well.
Yeah, the Fergie time. United sides defined by late goals, that relentless mentality we hear about in Liverpool, Klopp with the mentality monsters, but that was what United were, wasn't it? It used to be so annoying when you'd be as a kid and you'd be watching watching CFAX back then, wasn't it? Watching the live scores come in on 303.
5 minutes added on, they're going to score.
And you'd be like, Man United drawing 1-0 with, I don't know, West Ham then, Solskjaer scored, or Sheringham, or York, or Cole, or Rooney, or whoever. I mean, the list of players that he's managed, those teams are absolutely phenomenal. And even some of the players who, Man United fans will speak about players like Michael Carrick, very highly. But I think from the outsider, he was a good player, but Ferguson made him into a really absolutely top player. And there's a lot of those.
Yeah, Nicky Butt, someone like that. Phil Neville.
Phil Neville
weren't as good as players who were playing for other teams at that time.
Well, who they went on to afterwards, like Phil Neville went on to Everton, and that was the height of his career after that. So it shows that
it was that sum of the parts, wasn't it? Together, each of those parts, it created a phenomenal team, a team that dominated English football for decades.
Absolutely. Right, let's go on to the curveball. So in this show, I like to throw 3 curveballs at Gareth to challenge the narrative. So the narrative is, of course, Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest, probably British manager ever. He's up there in the top few of all time around the world. But curveball number 1 is European record. And we often hear Jamie Carragher use this against Gary Neville in their many squabbles over on Sky Sports. For a team as that good domestically and that dominant for 2 decades, they didn't do it in Europe enough. 2 European Cups for that standard amount of time is not good enough.
Yeah, how many finals did they lose under him?
2.
So 4 finals, I suppose, in his spell. It is significant because in the 90s there was a bit of a dominance from people like AC Milan, clubs like them.
Yeah.
But in the 2000s there wasn't really a dominance. There was no Real Madrid like we've had now that have just walked to every single final and seemed to just get there relentlessly.
Porto won it.
Yeah, there were opportunities, and that Porto one was obviously opportunity.
Liverpool won it in 2005.
With Eric Djemba. Not Eric Djemba, with Jimmy Traore.
Yeah.
But Sir Alex Ferguson has runs with Eric Djemba. And possibly that is a fair criticism of him, and it's something that I would certainly level at him. You need to be doing more internationally, continentally, but he still wins Champions League twice. He's got that phenomenal treble win. which was one of the first trebles in English football, really.
I think it was the first like official treble, wasn't
treble,
it?
yeah. So I think it's probably a fair criticism. I think certainly, Liverpool fans would throw that in, say, a period where Liverpool weren't nowhere near their greatness. They won the 2005 Champions League. They got to the 2007 final. Whereas United were dominating, they still couldn't do it. But equally, it's tricky, isn't it? Because I think we are sort of now looking at a Real Madrid that have dominated Europe for many years. Previous to that, we haven't got those spells of dominance. So maybe, it wasn't straightforward to get there. It's never straightforward to get to the Champions League.
You look at sort of teams who got to the finals in that era of United's league dominance. You got Dortmund won it '97. Juventus made multiple finals.
Yeah. Never won.
Bayern Munich won it. Valencia made 2 finals. So teams that you would not probably maybe Juventus have up there, but Valencia on paper had a good team, a very good team.
Yeah.
But United at the same time, you would expect them to be better, and they often had defeats in Europe, which you'd be like, they shouldn't be losing that.
Yeah.
Porto 2004.
Yeah.
Obviously Mourinho. So that is a Mourinho masterclass. That entire tournament, but I do feel like that is a little stain. You think of someone like Bob Paisley, who won 3 European Cups in 9 years at Liverpool, and then you got Ferguson 2 in almost 30 or 27 years.
Carlo Ancelotti,
yeah,
who will be remembered as one of the all-time greats. Again, when you look at that trophy cabinet.
But what is Ancelotti's style of play?
Well, and that's what it comes down to as well, and possibly we look at that with Ferguson.
What does he actually do? How does he do so well?
Just wins things. It is that balance, isn't it? And I think for Ferguson, it's easy to say for United fans that they wanted that domestic dominance. That was what
to knock Liverpool off there.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted that style of dominance, and they did do that. Of course, they did. They changed it, and the whole thing of United, and obviously then there was the Glazer takeover and things like that. That global brand of United, the Champions League was certainly not unimportant, but perhaps nowadays is considered the thing you've got to win.
Maybe.
Can you be a great side if you don't win it? Back then, perhaps not so much. Maybe.
Okay, fair enough. Right, let's go on to curveball number 2. He had time and patience that others don't get. So, 86, he comes in. Doesn't mean anything for 4 years, and there's the age-old tale, isn't it, that he was a game away from the sack.
Yeah.
And then is the Robbins who scores the winner, does he, in the replay, I think, to put Man United through the FA Cup, which they go on to win.
Yeah.
If that was today, I don't think there's any chance he would be still at the club. And was he, he's benefited, isn't he, I guess, from, I don't know, the time?
Yeah,
it's still surprising then, I think, that he was given so long.
It's more common, though, isn't it, than it is today. Nowadays, we've got, I suppose you would call it, a sort of very continental style of managerial relationship where a head coach is relieved of their duties after a couple of months of bad results rather than a couple of years. It was always a thing in English football. I'm sure there's stats that may actually disagree with that, but in English football, there's always seen as you give managers time. The whole thing's what you give them time to come in. But 5 years for a Man United manager, well, certainly in recent times, that's not been the case, is it?
Yeah, who knows? Eric Ten Hag could have been United's greatest ever manager.
Well, and fans are nowhere near as patient nowadays, maybe, but we know that he was on the verge of the sack. It may not have been that literal game, as they say, and that one game saved his career. But, had he gone trophyless there, maybe they would have removed him, and you'll never know. But I think it's a big thing in football that managers aren't given enough time anymore, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, okay, and curveball 3. So this is an interesting one. His legacy. Now, you'd think one of the greatest managers of all time would have one of the most powerful, strongest legacies that he's left the club.
Yeah.
The club he left, he did not leave it in a good place to succeed. I mean, in a way, he won the league in his final season.
And you look at that squad, and it's not a good squad.
I'm surprised they won it.
Yeah.
It's not it's really. I mean, it's Van Persie won it from that. He was just on fire, wasn't he? But yeah. Butner playing, didn't they? He was like the starting left back. So that final side, how he left the club,
has harmed them today.
They haven't recovered. I mean, it's mad. Who would have thought in 2013 United would go about 12 years now without winning another league?
Yeah.
Who would have thought Liverpool would be back on their perch?
and they would go through, in theory, good managers, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, people like that who haven't got the club going.
Excellent managers with amazing track records, but often too strong a character. They're almost trying to replicate Ferguson again. So you're getting Van Gaal, who was, a fierce motivator, fierce disciplinarian. Same with Jose. And then there's Solskjaer. They're trying to get the
from within. Exactly.
And that didn't work. Ten Hag, everyone was quite excited when he came in. Poor, and Amorim has been no better. So, although again, maybe give him time, as the old catchphrase goes. But I do feel like he didn't set them up for the future. Like I always go back to Liverpool, obviously allude to them, but Klopp left and Liverpool won the league the next season. So he left Liverpool in a really good place. His final season, he added Szoboszlai, McAllister. He reinvented that midfield because he thought that was the next step. And then he left. He didn't just win the league and go. So I think the warning time's there. That final game is against West Brom and it's 5-5. And they're 5-2 up United and they let 3 goals in at the end to draw 5-5. And it's all like, is it great? Is Ferguson's last game? But maybe that was a sign of what was to come.
Yeah, and I think that is something that we, you certainly hear talked about in the media. That now, should he have gone earlier? Perhaps should he have left that club? He retired, didn't he, previously? And a couple of times there was always rumours of him retiring, and he hangs on and he hangs on, and he kept winning, and you can't knock him for that. He kept winning. Like you said, he wins the league in his final season.
There's a lot of newspaper articles, I think from like early 2000s, where it's like, this is his last season, and then he would just change his mind and stay.
And obviously, United fans were happy. I think he's so hard to follow. Any job you'll hear that now. We worked in schools or whatever job you're in, and someone will leave who's been there years and years, and it's been it's going to be difficult to replace. It's going to be like Ferguson going. The next manager. You don't want to be the next one after Ferguson.
Back to follow.
Back to follow. And Moyes, who again in theory was a bit like Ferguson himself. Had done well at
he was Scottish,
smaller club, stereotypically smaller club, I suppose.
But he hadn't won anything.
No, but he had a similar record, I suppose, in some ways. Perhaps not winning the league, but as someone who deserved their crack, the Scottish link and all that things was the chosen one through Ferguson, and maybe there's another element there that Ferguson hung on too long in terms of hanging around the boardroom, because he was at every game, wasn't he? He was home and away, certainly.
They're always there, isn't he? Just
and obviously he's had his ill health in recent years, but he still loves the club, and you can tell that. But is that what you want as a new manager, where you're trying to build your own way of doing things, and that bloke is just sort of hovering over in the scenes? You can see him in the stands. And so I think that it is possibly a fair criticism, but it's a really difficult one too, because it's not like he stayed too long, a bit like a Wenger who hadn't won anything. He stayed winning things.
Not fair. We go on about Ferguson. That was a great rivalry. Wenger Ferguson was so good.
Yeah.
Those early 2000s.
Perhaps that's another curveball there, potentially, that he's the standard of opponents at times perhaps didn't help in terms of his legacy now, because he won regularly and consistently throughout that, and obviously had Arsenal.
That was actually my fourth curveball. Was that you kind of benefit from a time of a lack of competition, really.
The 90s was very mixed, really, when you look at it.
And United were the club with all the money. They were the money who could
benefit from the Premier League.
Yeah,
he joins at the start of the Premier League. Really, or spends a couple of years there, and it's the Premier League. He benefits from that. He brings some great players. He buys from rivals.
Old Trafford's rebuilt and revamped.
The global branding of United, which means their revenue means they can buy whoever. They do buy from rivals. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what it's exactly what Liverpool are doing this summer, and it's exactly what they should be doing. That's what a good club does: is strengthen when you're on top. Say to Newcastle, give us Isak, or we'll take Akete.
It'd be interesting if Ferguson stayed in 2013. Who would he have signed in that transfer window?
Yeah, that is definitely his big thing. Is his rebuilding of sides, and that is incredibly impressive. And Pep has tried to redo that this year. People didn't think Pep would be up for a rebuild. And he stayed and he tried to do it. Lots of managers don't like that rebuild thing, because it's a faff. You're saying goodbye to people who you've worked with really well and been loyal to you. A clear out of club is difficult to do financially and things like that, but he did rebuild, and he often did that through undervalued players or players that you wouldn't expect. Like I'm thinking of like a Rafael and a Fabio, people from Brazil. You wouldn't have any sort of expectation of them to do anything special. They go on and play beyond their talent.
Yeah, and that's what he could do. But you think you list the strikers I had over that period. You see how he's reinvented it. You got Hughes and Cantona, and you go on to like Sheringham,
Cole and York.
Cole and York and Solskjaer and Van Nistelrooy comes in. Forlan for a bit. He was very good there though. You got Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, Berbatov, Van Persie. So he's always able to find someone in who would do the job, and it was the same for pretty much every position on the pitch. United's players outstanding by then.
It's the hardest thing in football, isn't it? A goal scorer, to find one. So many clubs this summer are doing that, trying to find a striker. And if you've got a good striker, you're going to win things. Of course, you're going to win games. And United seem to get that right every time, and that is a credit in that way that whoever come in, apart from Forlan, maybe in that list.
Yeah, but he wasn't the main man, was he?
No, he wasn't. But you look at that in that list of strikers, they've all scored a heck of a lot of goals, and that's because they had great players supplying them. But it doesn't mean they're always going to be successful, and that is something he got players going, and he got players playing beyond their what's perceived talent, perhaps.
Absolutely right. Let's go on to some quotes from others. Eric Cantona first, a player who we took from Leeds, league winning Leeds at the time.
Yeah,
title winners.
Cantona also jumped into the crowd.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but Cantona did say that Alex Ferguson made him feel like he could conquer the world, and he has some good quotes. Cantona, sometimes a bit
mad quotes,
a bit strange. Cristiano Ronaldo said that he is my father in football.
High praise from Cristiano.
Very high praise.
He doesn't always give high praise.
And Pep Guardiola says he's the greatest manager ever, a reference for all of us.
And that is really big because, again, obviously Pep is at Man City, but another rival for the greatest of all time, people would say. And so to talk that highly of your rival is significant.
Here's a question for you. What's Alex Ferguson's style of play?
It's tricky, isn't it? Classic English, British football for me.
4-4-2.
4-4-2. Work hard.
Yeah.
Everyone works hard.
Pressed.
2 wide men working hard and crossing in the ball to 2 strikers.
Get it forward.
Get it forwards. But not in a lump it way, but in a direct manner. Get that ball forwards.
Swift counter attacks.
Overlapping fullback nonsense. None of that.
I don't know. Gary Neville loved an over. You mean inverted fullback nonsense?
Yeah.
Oh, Gary Neville loved an overlap. Him and Beckham, wasn't it? It was amazing.
But none of this. Coming inside to play. Your role is as a wide player.
You get to the bottom line.
Structured, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So 4-4-2, definitely attacking. He was definitely attacking football. Lots of counter attacks, very quick on the break.
Yeah, there's talk of a United ways, and there always is. Ferguson played this way, and Neville for Sky will always be like, we need to get back to the United way.
It's Manchester United Football Club we're talking about here.
Yeah. Dominating games, front foot football, sort of thing like that.
Yeah, that's it. I think so. And what he was good at as well was adapting to the situation and the opponents.
Yeah.
So if he needed to play a bit more defensive, he would. If he needed to go out in the attack, he would. So he was able to, reinvent his style of play to suit the team and also get the best out of the players he had available.
Which is really actually not so modern. That's an older style thing.
And I think that's a bit more of an Ancelotti thing.
And that's good. It's how managers should play. It should absolutely be that case.
Bit more off the cuff.
Yeah, well, more than just stick to your style of football. It obviously got, someone like Vincent Kompany got in the Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Russell Martin, listen up.
Exactly that. Relegated playing your style, but your principle is what you die on. Actually, some of the best managers, and Pep is included in that, will shift at times.
Ange Postecoglou is that man manager. But in the Europa League final, he ditched his philosophy.
And won.
So there you go. Right, okay. Legacy and influence. So he redesigned what managerial longevity could achieve. He elevated Manchester United into a global powerhouse. other than Madrid, are probably. I know we also. Well, who's the biggest team in England? Man United are the biggest in terms of
Brand.
the scale, the brand. It is enormous.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Liverpool. It's bigger than Chelsea. It's bigger than Man City, and it probably will be for a long time still to come. Obviously, if the results are improved, then that might change. But right now, they are huge.
Yeah.
Inspired a generation of managers and players, who've sort of been inspired by him,
and Man United fans
and pundits. And he's set a standard in man management, scouting, and competitive culture that is still studied today. I think the man management is a real big thing for him, wasn't it?
Yeah. And being the manager, being everything, the buck stops with him.
Yeah.
All of that is on his shoulders, and everything that he makes those final decisions. And he wasn't a head coach, was he? He was a manager.
Yeah, exactly that. It's a great point. Right, let's find out what some of our listeners have got to say about Sir Alex Ferguson. We asked them on X, Twitter. We said, where would you rank him amongst the greatest managers of all time?
Okay.
Yeah, so rather than just how good was he, because I think that people will just say he's great, where would they put him in terms of the all-time managers? So let's have a look and find out. So Nathan Dummel says he's in the top 4 of all time, along with Michels, Sacchi, and Herrera. So a lot of Italian influence there, and Rinus Michels as well. Well, I think that's quite a good.
It's quite a hipster view on it, but I don't hate that.
No, good
shout. Whereas Steve Mulville just simply says he's number 1.
Yeah, I think that'll be echoed by a lot of people. Okay. Bagan Boy says he's in the top 5. He's largely forgotten from a tactic standpoint now, except from United fans and 50-something commentators.
Yeah, I think it probably is that, youngsters now who didn't see him play. There will be a lot of kids there who hear about him and never quite saw him manage, and run the club in that way. And but it's funny that both of us again teach him. People will still talk about Sir Alex Ferguson. Children who never saw him will talk about Sir Alex.
Yeah, they'll know him, don't they? Okay.
Johnny, fantastic domestically. Could have, should have done more in terms of European trophies, as we said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Man United, with all those super teams during the Ferguson era, only managed 2 Champions Leagues, which is the same as Porto in that period.
It's a good point, yeah. 88, 2004. Yeah, it's a really interesting little point there. And maybe our favourite one, Chris Etchingham says there's only one GOAT of management, and who is it?
He's got the lovely gif there of the lovely man Neil Warnock.
Neil Warnock,
who he's probably the greatest of all time in terms of second tier, the Championship. I would certainly have that.
Yeah, and below that is our version of it as well.
Yeah, found on our YouTube channel in the Cardiff City's history.
Cardiff City documentary. Okay, good. So there's some comments about Alex Ferguson. It's really interesting there that most of them sort of echoed what we've already said for the curveball, so that's perfect.
For sure. I think it is absolutely a fair consideration. We're not dissing the man at all. He did great things, but I think it's worth looking at the legacy he had, because that's how you fairly judge someone. Certainly is what we do as football historians, aren't we?
Okay, final bits. Where do you rank him in the all-time greats? Is he top 2, 3, 10, 5, 20? Where does he go?
Top 3.
Top 3. So who are better than him? I put you on the spot now. Go on.
I would have Guardiola.
I would also have him in
ahead of him. For influence on football as a whole, 15 years of influence on the game and changing how football is seen. And people said that Guardiola couldn't do that in English football, and English football has changed beyond recognition.
Yeah, he's just Italian football now. I'm completing the set.
And then it's tricky, and it is hard, because you could say someone like Cruyff and his influence on the game as well.
That's a good shout, Cruyff. Yeah,
Cruyff, who influenced Guardiola himself.
You said top 3, so that means you put him 3.
But you could say Rinus Michels as well, and I think that's the
total
one
football.
That people will.
Paisley.
It's tricky, Paisley, isn't it? Because again, the influence question becomes another fair point. Incredible for Liverpool and very winningest, as they would say in America.
Although we just been a bit
You know, it's English country.
British
I
boss,
think
yeah.
I'd have a top three of probably Michelle's, so Guardiola, Michelle's, Ferguson, and I think I'd have Cruyff fourth.
Yeah.
I think I'd have Cruyff fourth, and then it is really tricky, you know, and there will be massive different opinions on it. But
Ancelotti?
well, that's a fair point. You know, again, very winningest, as the phrase is. You know, his trophy cabinet will look immensely impressive, and if he wins a World Cup with Brazil, God, flipping egg, you would be putting
I
him
would
there.
be I'd be very surprised if he wins that
I'd be
Brazil.
very surprised.
You
But, you know,
can
imagine he does. He's the
come
most
back to
massive
us
getter
stuff for
there.
that.
Yeah, so you know, you certainly could put him. Maybe he rounds out a top five, and you call it that. But it's tricky.
Yeah.
And people will quite reality say people like Herrera back
Mm-hmm.
in the late '60s and things like that too.
Yeah. Sebes.
Sebes, yeah, Hungarian. And there are people who, and you know, it's important to reminisce and remember all of these. We've talked about them on other things we do on our website, on our Twitter, on our Facebook, and we talk about some of these managers. And I think a big element is legacy and what they were able to do that changed football. And the question for us then is, did Sir Alex Ferguson do that?
So, final verdict: was he great?
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah, a managerial giant.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, for English football in particular, I'd love to ask a Brazilian or a Italian or a Spaniard what you think of Sir Alex Ferguson. They probably would say, great man.
Comment below.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know.
We have got a broad audience, and I'd love to hear what people think of him. But in English football, he's undoubtedly top two.
We were actually number 5 in the Apple podcast charts the other day.
Wow.
In Jordan.
There we go. Hello, my Jordanian brothers and sisters.
10th in Nigeria as well. That's not bad. They've got a big population over there. Right. Okay. So Sir Alex Ferguson's career is the blueprint for greatness. He's not flawless, not immune to context, but his ability to adapt, motivate, and win across generations is unmatched. Football's ultimate manager.
Wow.
Okay. Right. If you are enjoying the podcast, you can listen to all the other ones we've recorded already. This is episode 8, I believe, already. Yeah, doing quite a few. So go back. We've got former players like Maldini, Van Basten. We've got some teams that we looked at as well. You can also go to our YouTube channel where you can watch this podcast, or you can watch our numerous videos that we've recorded over the last couple of years. That's at TFHBS on YouTube. Same handle for our Twitter X page as well. You can also go to our TikTok at the Publicity Boys and our Instagram, which is also the same handle at the Publicity Boys. We've also redesigned our website, which is now tfhbs.com. You can go on there and find all our archives of all the articles we've written for the last 12 years. You can find links to our books. You can find links to all the other things as well. So please go on there and check out the new website. Let us know what you think of it as well. It'd be brilliant. And if that's everything,
yeah, get in touch and let us know who else we should be looking at in this series, isn't it? I think it's great to go right back and do someone like Pushkas, and equally do someone more modern like Sir Alex, and we want everything in between. Let us know.
Yeah, and the World Cup's next season, isn't it? So maybe there'll be a lot more World Cup content coming your way. Okay, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again for another one very soon.